Sound tests. Welcome to changing your guitar strings. This is what this sounds like before, and I'm going to do the same little thing after when we change the strings. So I hope you'll stick around and hear what this baby can sound like. Here's some of the different strings that are available. This is acoustic and electric in this pile. Some varying prices. It's usually about $10 for a pack, about $1 for an individual string to buy separately. A higher quality brand like these elixirs are a little bit more money. You can see it was $24. Those are string winders. I'll show you how those work in a minute. There's all kinds of different picks out there. I recommend that you start with a thin pick. It'll be easier to strum the strings, and start off with a lighter gauge string as a beginner player. So it doesn't matter what type of guitar that you have, electric or acoustic. I recommend that you change one string at a time. That way you keep the tension on the neck equal to how it was removed from the neck. So take a string off, put the new string on, tighten it back up. You know, it doesn't have to be perfectly in tune, but get some tension back close to it, right? But this guitar is still pretty dirty, and I want to really be able to get in on all the frets and stuff and clean it good. I'm not going to put you through that. I'm just going to take all these strings off quickly. I'm going to do that, and then I'll put the camera back on as I'm putting the new strings back on the guitar. Okay, so now the string's been loosened off, right? I'm going to use this little notch that's in the string winder right there, right, to help wedge the little pins that are in the back. And I'll show you right now how I do that. They really just need a little bit of a help. You know, you just kind of come underneath them and pop them up. And that's it. I'll show you another one in just a second. So here's the pin. Now I like to keep these in order when I take them out. I don't know if it's going to focus on there, but there's a groove in the pin. Now the reason I like to keep them in more order is because this pin has always been on the E string, and it's used to having a big fat string to hold down. Okay, and the other ones have been on skinnier strings, and the groove has been worked in a little bit different. Okay, so again, this guitar is 40 years old, and I don't like to change anything on there unless I absolutely have to. You can buy new pins if these break or get damaged. They're not expensive. So let's unwind another string, and we'll pop out a pin. So it's a good idea to hold on to a couple of older strings, because as a beginner you will break strings. You will more than likely over tighten them when you're trying to tune it. So one of the things in regarding to tuning is you need to tune your ear as well as to rely on the instrument or a tuner itself. Okay, it's a really important tip. I'm not very good at tuning by ear. I always rely on the machine. But some people are. Some people are really good at it, right? So now I've taken the tension, unwound the string, got it off the end, right? And I'm just going to use that little nubby in there to help kind of pry the pin up a little bit. Usually doesn't take much. That's it. It's kind of held in there by pressure. And there's pin number 5, or for the A string. Now if you'll notice, the string has a little bit of a bend, a little bit of a hook to it. That's how it naturally sits down in the tailpiece and on top of the bridge. So what's happening there is the bottom of the pin and the groove in the pin is sitting on that ball, and it's just being wedged down the bottom. Nothing fancy at all. So most strings come in a little package, and then in some kind of little bag or something. They're usually wrapped like this. You can probably see there's a little bit of corrosion on these strings, but you basically just pop your ends out like that to unwrap them, and they should spring free on you. That's about it. Okay, I'm just holding up the guitar at a little bit of an angle here, so you can see these holes. There's a hole, right, in the actual tuning peg, right, that the string gets tucked into. And I'm going to pop the next string in, and then I'll show you how I wrap it around this peg. So I've already tucked the string in at the other end down there, and I'm holding it here on the top nut with my thumb just so it doesn't fall out of place, right? And now I'm going to wrap it on the inside of this. As soon as I get some tension on it, I can let my thumb off there. So ideally, you want to wrap this as many times as you can before you kind of block off that hole and you can't stick the string through. So if you'll see, hope it focuses, that on the skinnier strings you can wrap it more times around, and you can't when you get to thicker strings. Now that's what I recommend that you do. You wrap it as many times around as you can kind of fit. So what I'm doing is I'm using my thumbnail to kind of hold down the strings underneath that hole, and then I've wrapped it around. I poke it through the hole, pull the end through, and then just pull it tight. And then you can start turning the tuning peg and putting some pressure on the string. So before you get too much, it's a good idea to make sure it's all sitting properly, it's in the right groove. It's in the right groove down at the other end of the guitar too. Once you've applied some tension and got a little bit of tuning up on the string, you can feel safe enough that you can cut off this excess. Please, Andrew, if you're watching, thank you. You don't poke anybody's eye out. Get that stuff out of the way. These are linesman pliers, but you could use side cutters or anything that's going to cut some steel cable, wire. So I've got all the strings in the tuning peg, except for this last one here. As you see, we had a little bit of a mishap. The head of that one snapped off on me. It seems to be holding in there right now. Again, these pins are cheap. I mean, these are 40 years old. So, lastly, again, I put like a little bend in these strings before I put it down in that hole. And then the goal here is to have the groove sitting, the string sitting in the groove of that pin, and the bottom of the pin pushing on that ball down in the bottom of the hole here. And so they're gonna block the light a little bit, sorry. All right, so let's kind of place it in there, get your pin lined up the right way around, and that's it. Push it down, keep a little bit of pressure on it until you get the string lined up. So this baby's all stringed up. The only difference between this acoustic and this electric is that this one has a through body design. So you see there's some holes in the back, and you stick the string through there and they come up the front and wrap around the top. On a Les Paul, they go through this tail piece here, and the ball of the string sits back here and then comes up over the bridge and over top. So it's a little bit simpler to use on some electrics, or to do on some electrics and acoustics. So let's hear what this baby sounds like. Oh, that's much better. Got a nice twang to it. Thanks for watching today. Hope you enjoyed the show. Please subscribe, please hit that like button, and leave a comment below. If there's anything that you wanted to know that I didn't cover today, or if you have any questions about anything on today's show, please leave a comment. I love comments. I love to engage with you all. Thank you, and have a great day.